No, it's okay, right?
Hmm.
Yeah, sorry for the disconnect. So, like regarding, let's go into the question for like agriculture optional. So, when did you complete your graduation?
I completed my graduation in 2018.
18. Okay. So, like those things helped you, I think. Na? Some are in college, so they want to prepare. So, I suggest them that you read the BSc Agriculture coursework very well, because that will help
Yes,
you
sir.
to a great extent. What is your?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Absolutely. Because when I was doing my graduation, I was very clear that my optional will be agriculture only. Because you study it for 4 years, and I was the topper of the college, so I have gone very thoroughly with all my subjects, or entomology, pathology, everything was
Yes.
very
Mm-hmm.
thoroughly I had done. And so I was very sure I'm not changing my optional, no matter what people say that sociology gets you more marks. Many people told me
Mm-hmm.
sociology is
Mm-hmm.
more mark fetching, but I was very
Mm-hmm.
sure. And the kind of questions that came this year, the UPSC 2022, it was very much similar to my college exams.
Yes.
So
Yes.
that is
Mm-hmm.
why I could secure good marks. It was a very simple and direct question. So it was a very nice experience writing the answers also. So
Yes.
you
Yes.
have to, one has to study really thoroughly all the books, all the materials during exam, during the college.
Yes, yes. So those who are in college, they need to focus on that rather than thinking about any other things. Just focus on your coursework and you do well, then it will help you. That's what you want to say.
Yes.
Okay. So many students ask whether we should refer to reference books. Did you refer to reference books, or like what we see that the best available, freely available, like Anglo notes, TNU notes, so that will suffice.
I am actually from Andhra University. So
Okay.
my notes, I would personally, it is my personal strategy, but my Andhra materials were more than sufficient for me, as I
Mm-hmm.
felt. And
Yes.
my entire preparation was revolved around previous year questions, were my base. And then I just wrote answers to the questions, made notes in question and answer format from my Andhra material. Extra add-on I used to search in Google, or for soil. I studied. I referred a book, but not much because the book textbooks were very huge. And I mostly my preparation was centered around Andhra materials and TNU materials and Google materials.
Okay. Mhm. Okay, that is good. So that because in that notes, little bit, it is not very lengthy. Also, it is not even short. Also, so in there is the medium content. So it is
Yes, sir.
manageable. That's what I suggest them. So that
Yes,
you
sir.
will read also. If you don't get
Yes,
some
sir.
idea, then you can read some reference books, whichever, but
Yes,
not
sir.
completely rely on it. That's
That is true, sir. Yes, sir.
yes. So like when did you start like writing answers or something for optional before like before your prelims? Did you start writing answers just to check yourself?
Yes, sir. Actually, before UPSC, I had cleared Uttar Pradesh State Services also and Odisha State Services also. I am from
Okay,
Odisha. So I cleared both
okay,
the exams, and for both the exams, I had my optional as agriculture only. So for
okay,
that, I had done my preparation a little bit, and also answer writing also had done a little bit before UPSC mains. So while
okay,
when I got my cleared my UPSC prelims, I started writing agriculture optional answers twice a week. 7 questions I used to write, or in 1 hour. So I started doing that twice a week, 2 days a week, and then after that I shifted to after August 15 or something. I shifted to complete 3 hour papers, full length papers. I started writing. So I've written good 5 6 full length papers, and that was all about my answer writing, sir.
okay, okay. Yeah, that is good that you write sometimes, and like you will be able to get used to that writing,
Yes,
because
sir.
that is the issue.
It will,
Sometimes we have the knowledge, but we are not able to write
yes.
properly.
Exactly, sir. I always feel that optional requires a different approach to writing than GS papers. So
Mhm.
in GS also we read agriculture, but when it comes to optional, you have to be more technical and more uh, better in details and everything. And I was bad at it initially. When I started writing, I used to write like GS only. So then
Mhm.
I started. I showed one of my friends who had also cleared the previous year, so she told me how to write and all of that. So that helped me. So it's better that you practice answer writing for optional a lot.
Okay. So you said that some advice was given. So what is the advice? What is the difference we should do from GS to our answer writing, optional answer writing?
Sir, what I felt, I was only writing those information which everybody else could write. All the GS, all the students preparing for GS from various other optionals could also write that those agriculture answers. So she told me how to incorporate uh, various terms and various words while writing an answer, and also uh, incorporating current affairs in your optional
Mm-hmm.
answers, because I was only writing the course material, just the study material, the course,
Mm-hmm.
and not incorporating it with current affairs, not adding value
Mm-hmm.
to it. So she told me
Mm-hmm.
how to add the recent examples anywhere where there has been a pest attack or any new invention that has been done with respect to agriculture, or any new
Mm-hmm.
technique. So you must keep adding and not just restrict yourself to just the study material. So those things help me. I tried
Mm-hmm.
incorporating those things. Maybe those help me.
Okay, like from newspaper and some websites, all these
Yes,
things maybe
yes,
you would have used.
yes.
Or you will
Yes,
get
sir.
in some GS, whatever you study, PT 365 or mains 365, or something else you will read from there, you need to take or something
Yes,
like
sir.
that.
Exactly, sir. Any example or something you get, you have to write it. So I had incorporated graphs in my answers, then I had incorporated data in my answers. So all those things I had done. Sir.
Okay, okay, that is good. That's why, like in paper one, you have got good score.
Yes, sir.
I think you
Paper
have
one,
more scope
paper
to do
two.
that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Paper one, you have no scope to do that. Yes.
Mm-hmm. So, like in paper one, also, like what type of questions did you attend? There is like compulsory, and compulsory is okay. The optional questions, some of the. So,
Yes.
which did you focus on topics?
Sir, I was good with agriculture extension. So in part B, I focused on extension questions from agriculture extension. And in part A, the questions in I chose those kind of questions in which I can add my current affairs knowledge also. For example, there was a question on millets. Uh, uh, uh,
Yeah.
in part A. So I started. My first instinct was to I will attempt this question definitely, because millets I have read about it a lot, and other questions also I can write. So on that basis, where I can add more value and use my current affairs knowledge, I chose those kind of questions to write, sir. And in part B, I was a little part B was a little tricky for me, but the compulsory questions were easy. So the paper one was very easy. I would say this time it was an easy paper. It was an easy to moderate paper. So the compulsory questions were very good. And apart from that, I chose agriculture extension more.
Okay. So, like for example, you told about millets question. So nobody knows like how a topper writes in the exam. So can you just briefly tell me like millets? So what was like something like introduction, how you made body and conclusion, so that they will get some idea real in real time.
So
Any
millets,
question you can
I
choose.
have.
Hmm.
For example, if I talk about millets, because we have it was the international 2023 is the international year of millets. So I started with a particular data that I had written in my notes. The 40%, I guess it was 40%. We were cultivating 40% earlier, but then it reduced after commercialization of agriculture or something. After Green Revolution, it reduced the millet cultivation. So I started with her data, and then the benefits of millets. So when you write the body, you try to answer the demand of the question. So don't digress from the topic. And I started incorporating all those little things, like it's the International Year of Millets, or the MSP for millets has been increased. So all those things
Okay.
I tried and mentioned in it. Those things.
Okay. Yeah, that will give some idea or some good current affair knowledge in that. Conclusion, were you having conclusion in all the questions? Try to.
Sir, I was not very particular about writing conclusions in my GS answers, also in my optional answers also.
Okay.
Conclusion I would write if I had time. Otherwise, I would just skip the conclusion and answer the question. If I
Okay.
have a good conclusion in mind, a prepared conclusion, then I would write it. In GS and optional both, I'm not very particular in writing conclusions.
Okay. That is good. So how you used to like divide time between in the like 5 questions we need to write, like 35 minutes used to have for each question. What I feel is that in the first compulsory question, it takes a little bit more time compared to the other optional questions.
So first, I had practiced also like that. The first, my first thing would be to write question number 1 and question number 5. I
Okay.
complete question 1 and 5 first, so that I don't miss out on those questions at the end. So I
Okay.
so first compulsory questions are done, and then I sit and choose my questions after the compulsory questions I've written. So then
Okay.
I choose. I take 5 minutes. I select my questions, and then I start
Okay.
writing the other answers.
Okay. That is good. Like 1 and 5, you just focus, then you go for other questions.
Exactly. Yes, sir.
Okay. So while choosing questions also, you may find little bit difficulty, right? Confusion on,
Yes.
you will know 2 questions well, another question average.
Yes, sir.
Then in another, you will know 2 questions average, one well. How did you choose that?
Yes. This happened also. For example, there was a question in which there was, out of the 3 questions, there was one question on writing the methods of propagation for forest plants, or there was something
Yeah.
that I had very little knowledge on, but it was a 10-marker question. So I realized the 220 markers I am very good at. So I select those questions where if I'm confused between two questions, I will select the question in which I can attempt the 220 markers better than the 10 marker. So if I know ki 20 markers I can write pretty well, then I will attempt that question comparatively. And also before writing, I feel we have good amount of time in agriculture. I will just those questions that I'm confused a little, I will just write a small framework of the question on the question paper only, a framework of the answer. So these are the points I could write in this. These are the points I could write in question this. So I will see in which I can write more points, and I will choose that particular question accordingly.
Yes. That is better, I think, because what happens sometimes is that some students start, and then in the middle we
Yes.
come to know that we are not able to go ahead. Then
Yes.
you can't come back. It's gone once you
Yes.
gone inside the battle.
Yes, and that happened with me during my practice also. I used to start writing answers, but then realized,
Okay.
oh, I'm not able to complete it. So I
Yeah.
chose this. I developed this strategy that I would write a framework first if I'm confused, and then write it on the paper.
Yes, that is good strategy. New one which you suggested. Like you completed all the pages, or you left some half page, 1 page in the questions, in any questions?
No, sir. That
Uh,
was my full during my practice also. I used to make sure that I use every bit of the page available. So I used to
yes.
write points, a lot of points. I complete all the page that is available. I use it completely.
Okay. Like you write in paragraph or in points?
I prefer points, sir, always.
Okay. Like how many points? Like small points, many points.
No, I write smaller points. That was a
Okay.
practice. I
Okay.
had done that practice. I would write smaller points, but more number of points.
Okay. Even GS also similar strategy, I think you would have
Yes,
done.
sir. With GS also similar strategy, smaller points, but more. When I started writing answers, I used to write long answers, like long
Okay.
poems, and people used to say कि it won't work because you'll not have so much of time if you keep writing long answers. So then I reduced
Mm.
it. So I thought I will write more points and shorten my uh, sentences.
Yes, yes, that will be important. It is a good thing which many students can learn, because critically we are not able to talk to many toppers about these things. So there was like some questions, very difficult questions also, right? Last year, uh, like a detailed account of sucrose metabolism in plants. So were you able to write those questions well, or just you
No,
managed?
sir. I thought I left that question. I did not want to attempt even that question. So I left that. Very luckily I had I was not very well versed with floriculture, well practiced with floriculture questions. But in paper two, just before the exam, I had a note, a small diary with me in which I had written the whole floriculture, some 3 to 4 pages notes I had on floriculture and everything. So that I just read before entering the examination hall. I was reading that floriculture pages, thinking that if any question comes, I could attempt that. So that helped me in paper two, because all of a sudden I saw there were a lot of difficult questions in paper two, and the floriculture question I chose to write. So I have less marks.
Some audio issue, I think. Unable to hear you.
Hello.
Yeah, yes, now you're able to.
Hello.
Yes, yes, we can go ahead.
Uh, uh,
Okay. So that question was difficult, right? That sucrose metabolism in plants,
yes,
that
I
compulsory
was
question.
not. Oh, it was a compulsory question. I forgot. So
Yeah, yeah.
sorry. It was cross. So I don't know. I don't think I have written something. I never leave the questions. I must have
Okay.
written something. I remember, but not exactly the answer demanded. Definitely, because I was not very well aware of this question, of this answer.
Yes, yes. Thing is that this question was not repeated. Uh, and it
Yes,
is
it
very
was.
difficult, something like very difficult, and we don't get good amount of notes for this. So, and there is no repetition
Yes,
of this question. That's why we usually leave it. Then, but at the end of the day, it has come
yes,
to
as a
2022.
yes.
So, like, but last year, another thing which we observed, like the food security part, many questions came, like PDS, and those things also came in compulsory part. So this, I think you
Yes.
used the GS3 knowledge only, or something else you did for this food security portion?
Food security was completely GS knowledge. I had good notes prepared on food security for GS3. So I had only done those notes, and it helped me in writing the optional answers only. I was restricted to that only, so the GS answer.
Okay. Yeah, that will be useful. So, like for paper two, any tips which you want to suggest? How to prepare? Because many students
Paper.
are having problem with the paper two.
Yes, I am one of them. Paper two, I find a little difficult. But I was good in genetics. While I was in college, I was good in genetics. So I always focused more on genetics and less on other things. Like horticulture also, there are a lot of package of practices that can come. And I just had a small standard answer. If this question, if tropical fruits come, then this is the package of practice mostly, or if temperate fruits come, this is the package of practice mostly. So these are the things I would say ki do every point in the syllabus. Don't, because my preparation was mostly focused on genetics and mostly focused around genetics. So what happened that I neglect it ended up I ended up neglecting a little bit of other parts. And as so that's why I would say keep focus on every part and also see the marks distribution because, and accordingly study, put your efforts accordingly. If there are very less questions come from pathology and entomology, so you can keep it to the last and you can focus more on those areas of the syllabus from which a major marks are allotted to those areas. So I would say that, sir.
Yes, yes, that is a very important strategy that because there is less subjectivity also in genetics, breeding, seed science,
Yes,
all this
yes,
portion. There is objectivity,
yes,
but
sir.
on the other hand, the other areas you never know. Whatever you write, you may not get rewarded, or you never know which
Yes,
questions
sir.
may come. It's so huge, like
Mm.
horticulture. It is the whole syllabus of UG. They just put
Exactly,
plantation
sir.
crops,
It's so
comma,
huge.
fruits,
Yes,
vegetables.
everything. You cannot cover all the crops in horticulture, and they ask a lot of package of practices starting from gladiolas to beans to everything. So I have prepared a few, but not all. So tomatoes, these are the these are the vegetables that I asked more. So I have prepared for them, but I could not attempt. I think there was a question on spices also.
Yeah, one seeds for something. Mhm. Yeah, it is very difficult to prepare everything. We can't
Yes,
prepare
sir.
everything.
Yes, sir.
Should because we have also GS paper, also essay, and all other
Yes,
things
sir.
going around. Yeah, like in between pre and mains, how much time did you give for optional and this one GS?
Actually, I was a little underconfident for my GS papers. So my strategy was to complete at least those GS papers first, which I was uncomfortable with, which was GS1 and GS3. GS4, I used to do every single day for 3 months, every single day for 1 hour. I used to write at least one answer. And when it came to optional, till I started making notes every. I had divided my week like this: 3 days a week, 4 days a week GS, and 3 days a week optional. I divided my days. And first initial 1 month, 1.5 months, I only used to make notes of previous year questions, and I only used to make notes. So when my notes were ready, like 80% ready, 70% ready, so I then started went to revision. So I started revising and writing full length papers. So while I was making notes, I used to write sectional papers, but then I shifted to full length after my notes were almost completed, and I started revising on a very daily basis every day, and
Mm-hmm.
started writing full length papers. So that was my strategy, sir. Until
Okay,
from September 1st, I stopped agriculture. I stopped optional studying optional completely, and I only focused on GS.
GS. Okay, okay. And that's a very ideal strategy which you have shared for the aspirants. So some are have written this prelims. Okay, so they are waiting for the mains result. So many ask me the same
Okay, okay.
question that, sir, I don't know whether I'm going to clear because this year CSAT was tough. Paper one was also tough.
Yes.
So you never know whether we are going to clear. So should I start preparing for optional, or how much time should I give for optional? Something like that. So what do you suggest them? Those who are going to clear, or even if you don't clear, what you have to do for the next attempt, 24?
So I would say you start with optional. Optional is the game changer here. I have
Mm-hmm.
learned it the hard way because my optional marks are 252, which are which is less as compared to other people who have secured 280 plus in optional this year. So optional can literally make you the king. So even if you're not clearing this year, then also keep your optional ready, all the notes ready, all the short notes, the data, whatever you want to add to your answers. Keep your optional ke notes ready so that when it comes, the actual time comes, you only have to revise and do answer writing. So I would suggest focus a lot on your optional. And GS you can do, you can cover into those 3 months that you have between prelims and mains, but optional, you have to be very ready so that at least you secure 260, 270 marks.
Yes, that is a very important knowledge. Like because optional within that short time period, it will be very difficult to cover. We will
Very
be just
difficult.
become
Yes, sir.
afraid. But at least
Yes.
GS means some of the notes, and we have some idea because they are studying
Yes,
for
yes, sir.
prelims also. At least paper one is covered. some part of ethics.
Yes,
I suggest them to read ethics and optional at any cost. What are they, clear or
yes,
not?
sir. Ethics and optional very important, sir.
Okay, thank you for suggesting that. Um, so then when you have like when you wrote, did you feel that you have written well by writing only, or will be able to?
Uh, with respect to paper one, I was more than satisfied. I was very happy uh, with respect to paper one because I had completed the paper much earlier than the time, than 3 hours. I completed the paper 15 minutes before the time was over. And I was very much satisfied. I had written good points. But with respect to paper two, I was not very confident about writing paper two because there were a lot of questions which I was only trying to beat around the bush, but I did not have solid points for it. So I regret that.
Mhm.
Had I studied it a little better, it more, would have been better.
Okay. Okay. So the suggestions the others can take. So like the graphs and tables or diagrams, this all you used in paper two also, wherever possible.
Uh, paper two, I actually did not use a lot except for some diagrams. I showed some diagrams, but I did not use a lot of graphs. I could not use a lot of my things, my knowledge in paper two, but
Mm,
in paper one I did use.
okay. So it happens in exam. You never know. It's like at the
Mm.
pressure, what you will be able to write, recall, all these things. So the other aspirants, if you have any questions, you can just put in the text box regarding any questions. So when we complete this session, then we can ask some questions also. So next, like regarding the any other things which you need to discuss regarding mains, or whether you have discussed all the most aspects.
Sir, Anirudh Patel is asking to share my mistakes regarding optional paper.
Yeah.
Can I can I say
Yeah.
that?
Yes. Please go ahead.
So my mistakes was I did not pay attention to the to optional paper two, which is trickier than optional paper one. So I
Mm-hmm.
thought the optional paper one is easier. So I would just study because I loved reading paper one, but I was
Yeah.
not liking studying paper two because it was more technical and everything. And also that is why I paid less attention to it. I wrote also less answers. Also, I wrote in paper two. I wrote more answers in paper one. So don't do that mistake, please. Give equal importance to paper one and paper two because both marks are important. And try to study. If it is technical and more difficult than paper one, you should
Mm.
give more time to that. So do that. Don't repeat my mistake and do every pointer in syllabus, please. Prepare your notes for every pointers in syllabus.
It is very important. I also tell students that focus on paper two first. If you want to write test, paper two first, then you can write paper one.
Yes, sir.
Because slowly, by the
Yes, sir.
time we complete paper one, we may not have time for paper two,
Exactly.
and
That
that we
happened
get.
with me, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, that is the issue. So then you went into personality test. So how did you prepare, and how did you go with this agriculture optional?
Uh, uh, Agriculture, I actually, with respect to agriculture, before this also, as I said, I had given Uttar Pradesh and Odisha state services and had cleared both of them. In both the state service examination, my interview was focused on my personality test interview in both the state services. It was focused entirely on agriculture. The all 30
Okay.
minutes was on agriculture. So I had an idea that some that my UPSC interview would also be focused majorly on agriculture. I had assumed it because all the mock interviews also that I was giving, also they were also focusing entirely on agriculture. So all the questions that I had been asked in the mock interviews and in my state service exam interviews, I jotted them down first. I should be
Okay.
thorough with those questions. So I was very much aware of the fact that I have to do the recent schemes in agriculture a lot because they might just ask me Also about the RAVIF program, I knew there would be questions
Okay.
on RAVIF program. So
Mm-hmm.
I had prepared the RAVIF program really well. And what happened, my board was Preeti Sudan ma'am's board. The particular village in which I had gone for the RAVIF program, ma'am had also
Okay.
worked in that village. So we had a
Oh,
very good conversation about that village, about the issues, social issues of that village, about the kind of crops, about the fertigation techniques being used, modern agriculture techniques being used in that village. So we had a very good, like a good 5 to 7 minutes discussion on my RAVIF program. After that, they asked me questions on food security and they asked me questions on farm laws, which was being asked very frequently during this interview. So farm laws was a very expected question. So I had prepared for that and they asked me that. So it was that only. So it was overall a good interview. I had prepared mostly also. I used to see transcripts, last year transcripts on agriculture and those transcripts that were coming before my interview also. So I knew I had a fair knowledge of what I was going to be asked, and it happened. So my 75% of my interview was on agriculture only.
okay. So that is good that like most of the agri aspirants we suggest like to go for this prepare well for agriculture because most of the questions they ask because most of the people who are coming are all like engineers or some others
Yes,
and the board does not know much about the subject but in agriculture
yes,
everyone feels we know everything. The
everything.
board thinks
Yes,
that way. So they try to ask any questions and they try to do it. How was the discussion and all with the aspirants? Also, we had discussions like the personality test aspirant. Was it
yes,
helpful
yes.
to you?
That also, yes, sir. Actually, you had told me about that use animal husbandry, that contract farming is very highly used in with respect to poultry farming. So I gave that example because they asked me about crop diversification. So I told them how contract farming can be useful in poultry, and we need to promote that in other sectors also. So we had discussed it. Also, other discussions that or that we had long discussions on GM crops and millets and everything. I did not get those questions, but it did help the kind of broad dimensions that we had discussed in various other questions. It did help me in the interview. So,
Yeah, that is a good thing. Thank you. And so that you will have broad idea and will be confident to answer any questions.
yes, yes, sir.
Yes. Now let's see some of the questions which are uh, maybe the students are asking. Some are asking why some agriculture optional is not scoring well or something like that. Is it like that? That agriculture
Well,
optional is
I
not
would
scoring well at 300 something like that.
I wouldn't say that because a lot I know three persons who had agriculture optional and they secured 284 and 290s 280 plus marks, which is good enough marks for optional. So I would say if you write well,
Yes.
you will secure marks. This year the optionals have been given a lot of marks in across all subjects. So I would say agriculture also did fairly well.
Yes, yes. Every year it is done fairly well only. No, like
Yes, sir.
250 plus, you will be having an you can get a rank.
Yes,
If
yes.
you are at least
Yes,
you
sir.
will be in
Yes.
the list at least 250 plus, keeping other things
250
constant.
plus.
280, 290
Yes.
means like you have an edge over others. So that's
Yes.
so that is there. No need to worry that because why I tell that because like for example geography there are 2000 3000 students are writing so the percentage of
Yes.
person getting that 300 may increase here only maybe 100 or
Yes.
150 students are giving mains from agriculture
Oh,
so that
okay.
also could
Yes,
be
sir.
a
Yes.
reason
Yes.
so some are asking about like they are non-agri aspirants so whether can we take agri or whether we'll be able to compete with this in this subject.
Non-agriculture students, I would say you have to please go through the syllabus very thoroughly before you take up agriculture because paper two is a very technical part. And if you're not from biology background or you're not from I don't know if you're from engineering background or something, it might become a little difficult for you to uh, study paper two because paper one is more or less similar to the GS papers, but not paper two. It will be very difficult because it's difficult for the agri students also. So it's better that you go through the syllabus thoroughly, see for the sources that you have, and then only step into it.
Yes, you can just go through the PYQ syllabus and questions, and if you're
Yes,
able to manage, because some people go for this PMT coaching and all, they may not find it much difficult because there is some
yes, yes,
relevance
exactly.
and
So
everything. Those who are completely in like math background and they have not studied in
it
11th,
might be
12th,
yes,
they may find little bit difficulty, I
little
think.
difficult. Yes, sir.
So any other questions is there? You can put in the chat box.
Someone is asking, so Ritvik is asking, share sources for extension. Okay, extension, actually, I had only kept myself limited to my underground materials first. And second, I had a friend who had appeared for the exam earlier and had secured 384 rank uh, in agriculture only. She had some notes prepared on extension. So I spoke to her and she gave me her notes. So mostly my materials and her notes were my source of preparation. I did not follow any textbook for extension. And someone was asking how to score high in paper two. So I will be the wrong person to tell you how to score high because my marks in paper two are very less. But I would ask you to be very uh, go through the PYQs and syllabus have to be your base for your preparation. Because if you have good amount of notes prepared on the basis of the PYQs that have been asked, that could help a lot in terms of paper two, and definitely as I said, focus on those subjects where focus on those subjects in paper two where there are more marks are being asked from those subjects. So please focus on those. And but this year also they have been asking a lot of horticulture questions. So you have to focus on horticulture, study horticulture a little more than pathology and entomology. So all these things you have to make a strategy and study well. That would be my suggestion. But you could just talk to someone else who has better marks for in paper two.
So limit yourself in other areas in horticulture. Limit yourself to PYQs and the questions asked, and
Yes.
prepare will be better strategy.
Yes.
So any other final word of advice which you want to suggest to aspirants?
Yes, sir. If I want all the aspirants to please do very good in, please do your optional very well. And I cannot emphasize it enough. Optionals are literally a game changer. So start with your optional. Do not keep it key. I will do GS first, and then I can do optional after July 15 or after July or August or something. Don't do that. From June only, if you are clearing, then start it from the very first day. Take 2 days, 2 proper days, 2 3 days to just chalk out a strategy, plan a strategy, see the PYQ, see the syllabus, go through some videos of toppers, and then you can just first plan a strategy that this is how I'm going to go about it. This is how for 15 days I'm going to complete this. 15 days I'm going to complete that. I will have my notes prepared for this subject, for that subject, and do not keep answer writing to the end. After everything is over, I'll start answer writing. Don't do that, please. So start writing answers, sectional answers, and PYQs. If you're reading a particular topic, for example, you read today about you say plant breeding, about cell cycle. If you read today about cell cycle, just go back to the previous year questions, see what are the questions asked on cell cycle, and try attempting those questions on try attempting the questions on cell cycle, and see if you are able to write those properly on the basis of what you studied. And please get your answers reviewed by someone, some expert or some peers that you have. Get your answers reviewed, because without reviewing, answer writing would be a waste. So get your answers reviewed and do optionals thoroughly. Devote more time, because GS can be done, but optional, if you secure good marks, you will definitely get a rank in the list. optional essay and ethics. I've secured 121 in essay, 118 in ethics, and optional 252. So my essay and ethics saved me. I have 423 marks in GS. So that saved me because my optional marks are 252, which is fairly good and not bad enough. So you must do optional well and ethics and essay. So this will save you and get you a rank in the merit list.
It's a very valuable suggestion that we need to manage all these things like our optional very well and ethics and essay, which are making the block for ourselves. And it is very valuable suggestion. I just forgot, like you made notes for everything, right? For all these topics, whichever you read and all.
Yes, sir.
And you
I
prepare.
was good. I was making notes on the basis of the PYQs only.
Okay.
I had good notes. Yes, sir.
Okay. Then you made again some other notes, very short notes for the last minute revision also.
Yeah. Yes, sir. I was short notes while I was actually what I was doing while I was revising the notes that I had first prepared. I had a small diary with me, and I used to just
Okay.
write the keywords in that diary.
Mm-hmm,
So
mm-hmm,
that small diary I used for my revision during the 5 days of the 5 days gap that we
5
had
days.
before optional. Yes. And mostly because I used to study from my Angrao materials, which were my college materials. So
Okay.
I did not prepare notes also for a lot of section because I was very much comfortable reading those stuff from the materials directly because the materials also had very nicely written in points wise. So many points, many subjects like cytoplasm, and all
Mm-hmm.
those cell and the entire genetics part I did from my materials directly. I did not have any separate notes prepared for them.
Okay, okay. So whichever you have confidence, you didn't prepare much of the notes. Where there was some
Notes.
doubt and all, you made notes. It's very valuable.
I made. Yes, sir.
So I'm taking more of your time. Sorry for that.
Yes, sir.
Can I take another 2 minutes? We can go
Yeah,
other than
sure, sir.
outside optional. So like you said,
Yes, sir.
you have scored well. Literally what I see, Agri students, they are not scoring well in essay paper because maybe of our own background that Agri students are having little bit less advantage in mainly in essays and all. I saw many people scoring around 100, those who went to personality test and didn't clear. So how can we improve?
Okay.
Because we feel that our English is not good, our some things are not good.
Sir, essay, we are talking about essay.
Yes, yes.
Yes, sir. Essay, sir, even if I would, that is a big myth, I would say, that people think your English have to be good for essay. I had a mentor in with respect to essay who had secured 145 marks in one of his mains, and he writes essays like school kids, like class 5, 6 kids. The simplest essays possible, very simple language, very simple words used, no extravagant words. So in essay, the trick is to maintain the flow of the essay. So whatever
Okay.
and what happens that we run after. Many people think we should add more dimensions to the essay, 8, 9 dimensions, environmental,
Mm-hmm. Mm.
social, everything. But don't add 8 to 9 dimensions. Write good 5 to 6 dimensions, and per dimension, 2 paragraphs you have to write. So I was writing very bad essays. I had no flow in the essay. So you don't have. So after reading a lot of topper essays, I would pick a topic in which a topper has already written an essay. So I would write that essay on that topic and then go back to the topper's essay, what they have written, why my essay is worse than theirs, and then I would make my changes accordingly. So after this is a practice that I had done for ethics also. I used to I used to read toppers answers every day in ethics also.
Mm-hmm.
Similarly, in essays also, I
Mm-hmm.
used to read toppers essays. So what happened after writing a good, I have written good amount of essays, like 10 to 15 essays I have written because I was not very confident with respect to essay. Earlier my approach to essay was to use heavy words, but then I realized you don't have to use heavy words. You just have to simply explain what you actually feel about the essay. And that's how I change my approach to simplify my essays. And the essays, always remember, the essays have to be complete and not, you have to have a complete essay. Your essay should look, after reading your essay, people should feel, oh, he has started well and he has ended well. So make sure that you keep your dimensions limited. With respect to philosophical essays, do not write more than 7 to 8 pages. It's not expected that you write all 14 pages in philosophical essays, because you can't write so long. So just limit to 7 to 8 pages. And in terms of factual essays, you can write more, because there are a lot of additions that you can do. And you have to understand the difference between GS answers and essay. So start reading proper essays a lot. After 15 days of reading proper essays, you'll automatically start thinking like them. So do that.
Yes, that is very good suggestions, because for essay and ethics, you have some things are very ready-made, like
Yes,
topper's copy. So we write one essay, then we need to check with the other's essay. So we will think that, oh, I didn't think that way. He has written
yes,
something
yes,
which I was not able to think. Then we will read another essay.
yes,
Then we'll think, oh, this guy has written something like this, which my mind was not able to like take it. So we take all that suggestions into our mind, and we only can design
yes,
one new essay with all the dimensions. For ethics also, we
yes,
can take some keywords, examples from them, and keep
yes.
it handy and use it in our own answers. So
Own
that's
ways.
what I
Yes,
think you are suggesting.
yes.
Okay. So in GS also you have scored very well. So this was your first. What was your mains? This one, first mains or second?
This was my first mains, sir.
Okay, okay. So that is very good that you were able to score in very well in GS also.
Yes.
Okay. So for GS 1, 2, 3 and all, you were like basic materials you were reading and making notes for that.
Sir, my GS preparation, I had no notes prepared, like no elaborate notes. Though I had a
Okay.
small diary in which I was only writing the data and graphs and in conclusions and introductions that I would use. So that I do, for example, for GS1 society or history, I had my conclusions and introductions ready for every topic, and I had my data and examples ready for every topic, be it women, be it architecture, whatever. I had my examples and data ready. So my major source of preparation, my major source for mains, all GS 1, 2, 3 was test series, the solutions of test series. I had done vision test series. I had bought.
There is some audio issue, I think. Yes, yes. Now it's okay.
Yes. So what I had done for GS 1, 2, 3, that I went to the market, to ORN, and bought the test series that are available in the market. Vision I had bought, and Forum IS I had bought the test series, and from that only I studied my entire paper, all three of them. For example, today if I am studying art, Bhakti movement, then I would take out all the test series on which Bhakti movement questions are there, and I would just read
Mm-hmm.
all of them, find a particular introduction and conclusion. So if any question on Bhakti movement comes, I will write this introduction, I will write this conclusion. And I
Mm-hmm.
used to study the solutions and then revise the solutions again and again. So my pattern was to write for example, I study 7 questions in a day, and I write those 7 questions only sitting in an hour. In 1 hour, I'll sit and write those
Mm-hmm.
7 questions only. So
Mm-hmm.
that way, I just remember things faster and easier. So and then I started revising them after a point. After I guess July 15 or something, I started only revising all the GS
Revision.
paper that I had read. So that helps.
Okay, great. That is a very important input which you have given. So aspirants, like what madam is suggesting is that, see, mm, for making that one question, a person will take 2, 3 hours. Like Bhakti moment, one question, if I have to prepare, it will take me 2, 3 hours to compress and make it in that half page. The test
Yes.
solution guy will try to make it very solid. He will refer many notes, books, everything, and he will make. So she is getting that in hand directly, and should be referring to 4 or 5 questions, like 4 or 5 institutes, or means 4 or 5 tests. So based on that, she will then combine everything. That will make her job easy. Otherwise, she has to read
Yes,
10 different books. That is not possible. So this is a very
yes,
important input you can take from her.
yes, sir.
Okay, it is a very like a very valuable suggestion, and we're able to interact very well. It was very interesting actually. Didn't know that time
Thank
is
you.
going. It's nearly 1 hour, and we never know it is going like that. Very intellectual
Thank you, sir.
discussion. Thank you very much
Thank
that you
you.
came, and it will help a lot to the aspirants, so that once it is in
Thank you.
YouTube, also many people will be able to listen and be guided by you. Thank you
Thank you.
very much. For any other
Thank
help,
you.
we will be asking. You can do it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Bye.
you. Thank you, sir.